starting your journey with your starter Pokemon and going on a grand adventure is just one of those things that hit the spot for any RPG gamer. And that's definitely something you can do in Epic 7, kind of. I mean, the game certainly has enough units now to constitute a full Pokedex, and there are enough playstyle variety to pick what you want to play. But how competitively viable is doing something like this? Well, in this year's E7WC, Winter Wish did just that. He took his main unit, Lone Crescent Bellona, all the way to 3rd place at 2023's Epic 7 World Championships. Hey guys, it's been a while since we did one of these. Uncle Valk here, and today we are going to be breaking down Winter Wish's iconic run with his Lone Crescent Bellona and how you can design a playstyle around your signature unit. Now, if we're designing a whole playstyle around one character, plainly said, they're going to want your best gear. They're going to need to be cracked because, well, when it comes down to it, whether it's a tournament or last day of the RTA season, you need to be able to unconditionally trust them to win you those clutch matches. In Winter's case, this is his Bellona. Absolutely crazy stat line, so make sure you guys keep that in mind going forward. No matter what your signature unit is, you want to make sure you give it your crafting event, your Artinas, whatever it is to improve their odds at being able to carry your matches. Besides that, I think for RTA, there are 3 rules to keep in mind when playing around one main hero. 1, figure out what the unit's playstyle and role is. 2, knowing when to, but more importantly, when not to pick the unit. And rule number 3, knowing your matchups and designing tech picks. So keep that in mind as we go into our example. In the game here, Winter is going into his Game 2 versus Guangato, where he is up 1-0. Leafy and Ocean Breeze Luluka are this round's pre-bans, along with Lua plus AOL on both sides, since both players are trying to play a fairly neutral game with a wide pool of units available. So honestly, the world's your oyster. You can play whatever you want with this, since Lua and AOL really just shuts down things that prevent fun in the game. Do keep in mind that E7WC is played on the patch of Navy Captain Landy's release, so she's extremely in flavor right now, at least for the month. Now, being first pick, Guangato is going to pick her up naturally since it's salvo or be salvoed, and this is where Winter Witch is very naturally inclined to win. Remember our first rule, guys, figuring out your playstyle and role with the unit you want. Lone Crescent Bellona is an extra attack-based bruiser that hits back versus heavy AoE versus one very strong target, and she has one very strong single target nuke. I'll have a short guide for her in the description if you want to see how she's played for that in-depth information. Just so happens, Winter Witch's signature unit is a direct counter to the Flavor of the Month character, and he understands he needs to set her up as a solo DPS in a tank down composition, as she operates mainly when she is attacked, as, you know, tank down compositions go. So on Winter Wish's side, Conqueror Lilius is a natural pickup since she's the most oppressive units outside of Navy Captain Landy, and you know, instead of picking up his Bellona, he immediately picks up for himself. And, you know, this is a small gamble that Guangato wouldn't, his draft structure wouldn't support both Navy Captain Landy and a Lone Crescent Bellona, especially when he's just taking a Mediator Coerc. I guess he's saving it for a later rotation. I guess this goes into rule number 2 here, knowing when to pick, but more importantly, when not to pick your main hero. While he could have picked up Bellona in this exact spot, he doesn't have to. Remember, 1, it doesn't fit his draft scheme of tank down, which goes support, support, tank, to fish out your opponents so that they can have more exploitable weaknesses for this Bellona to take off. And 2, Bellona coming out here early means he can be counter-picked now by units like Roana, Aiden, LQC, just to name a few. There's plenty. So hiding her out until a later rotation can't really hurt his draft. If Guangato steals the pick in the Bellona, then we'll have our own countermeasures in those units we just named to punish, as our support core is extremely competent and flexible to be able to enable all types of playstyles. So Guangato quickly responds with Arrowell, designed to absorb any amount of aggressive damage, as well as make Chloe, who can not only cleanse the deluge of debuffs coming out from Conqueror Lilius, but also to revive, just in case he has to fight against the Strays and ML Leica. From that, we can see the power of this Conqueror Lilia's hand guy combo in the open. Before a damage unit was ever taken by Winter Wish, the threat of these damage units must be addressed in the middle of Guangato's draft, where your playstyle and composition kind of comes together, and it solidifies his composition identity to be very defensive, to, revive, cleanse, barrier, and it gives Winter Wish an easy solution to solve the puzzle since he knows exactly what Guangato aims to do with this composition now. So following his tank down structure, Winter is going to take his tank and his solo DPS. And whoa, is that a blue Tywin? Well, in accordance with the third rule, you have to tech around your main units for different situations. Normally, people would pick something like an ambitious Tywin here, not only for the cleanse versus the Arrowwell stun, but also his deadly debuffs in that stun and defense break. Though in this case, as Arrowwell has a point and click single target stun, Blue Tywin, after his rework, has a much better passive to protect versus single target stuns for his backline unit, which can perfectly enable Lone Crescent Valona to wreak havoc and tear apart this Navy Captain Landy composition. Now, with the Malona pick, Winter's draft is pretty much complete. All he needs to do here is ban the bigger threat out of Guangato's picks 4 and 5 while coming up with his own force ban, and he should methodically win the draft. You guys notice something? If you've been watching since the Weegung video, I've slowly upped the level of depth that these drafts go. And look at us now, we're talking about 4 picks in, and we're already deciding our win condition. And I mean, I plan to go much deeper than this, so if you've been keeping up with what I'm talking about, you're not getting confused on anything, well, congratulations on leveling up your understanding of an RTA draft. Keep it up, proud of you. But back to Guangato's side. He first rebuttals with LQC, Big Nuke versus any dark units, and an absolute threat. But after deliberating for a moment, he locks in LRK as his last pick, which reasonably and logically is a good matchup. He AoEs, which activates Malona's AoE, which resets his scaling damage AoE, so it's a lock, right? Well, if you think about it, when LRK gets reset, what does he throw back? Another AoE. Man, I'm saying this word so many times, it's starting to lose meaning in my head. Anyway, my point is they activate each other, but Malona has one absolute advantage Last Rider Crowd doesn't, and that's sustain with the Sigurd Scythe artifact. So what should have been an absolute advantage for Last Rider Crowd kind of gets flipped on its head a little bit due to that discrepancy, and it becomes a much more 50-50 matchup depending on the team's structure, and Winter Wish's team has a very, very solid structure as of right now. Since we know LQC is the bigger threat, we can just ban that out. So we still need to address these things. Number 1, tanky units. I mean, there's 4 of them out here. Number 2, barriers. 2 units give barriers, and there are going to be a lot of them. And number 3, revives, since we still have to deal with this mate Chloe. Now, let's scrape our mind and see what we can... Oh man, Winter is actually so good at Epic 7. He found the perfect answer. Just cooks up this Arunka, and I'm pretty sure she gets post-ban here, since as a singular unit, with all this support, the vigor, the attack buff from Mediator, all 3 of those things are addressed in a single unit. And that's why Rule 3, knowing your matchups, knowing what your opponents will pick and how you can respond is just so key, and it's the key factor in creating a playstyle where you're maining a hero, because you're playing them all the time. You should have this experience. And with that, Arunka should be able to force an easy post-ban, and let's see how this match plays out.
Okay. I mean, you gotta ban whatever's his strongest, and I think she extincts on her skill 3, doesn't she? Or
I'll take your life.
Yeah.
We did see how strong the Bologna worked into the Landy here. I hope Guanghetto, I guess this time he does have the Arrowwell, so he will have more protection. But man, I'm not sure.
Obey if you wish.
Nice skill 3 right there. This is the power of the Maid Chloe draft. You have so much free resist for your team that Conqueror is doing nothing.
Resist.
Which is rare. I don't know, man. Either Winter Wish is low on effectiveness, because even with maids, these silly stuff usually have a lot of
It's possible that they might actually have really high F-res. Maybe that's why Guangato's team didn't work so well in the first match as well, because he had so much wasted stats into the effect resist and it didn't do anything.
I can empathize. That could definitely be it. Here we go.
Defense break.
On that Landy.
Hello! How may I help you?
They do have a
Wait, though.
defense buff now on this Bologna, though. She's looking pretty bulky.
Yeah, we're gonna get an attack up, revive for the team, take off that D-break on our Landy.
You could try.
This is such a tanky beatdown, just both sides.
Yeah, I think Ghetto actually maybe in a position now where the solo Landy, with this much more protection, could end up taking it.
There's so many buffs.
The weight of the over.
Yeah, let's strip that Lone Crescent Bologna.
Can
You saw how much damage you do when these buffs are on her, G-Clip.
There's the stun and the
Oh,
tie
does land
win.
the stun, but there we see the cleanse.
But she
into
lost the attack up. So
barrier and immunity.
there is some benefit there.
Allow me to purify you.
No way
No,
that
Winter Wish wants
lands.
to soul burn this skill 3 like he did in the last game. But I wonder if now, yeah,
I'll make you
a little bit of a
taste
different game state, gonna
despair.
hold it now for a better opportunity.
They still have vigor, so they figure like,
This
oh,
is
I'm not really gonna get too much out of it. May as well just wait so I can use it next turn. Just see
Ooh,
a
the
counterattack
Arwell. I think we
coming
actually
out.
did see Ghetto's Arwell encounter in the previous match.
I actually think it was smart that they didn't use their Soulburn skill 3 because there is a 1-turn downtime and they're thinking maybe they want to go for it on this upcoming turn.
Leave it to me.
No extra attack.
Now, I'm not really sure what this Tywin can do
Another
here.
trial
I
to
think that he has a... Is it a provoke on his skill 1? I apologize that I forget, but he's such a rare pick at this
I
point.
mean, he did
ever
already
since
get some
the change.
value here, but we're seeing Ghetto just focus down this Lone
That
Crescent
could have
Bologna.
been a huge dual attack if that actually had landed a stun. That could have been huge.
Well,
Going for it
he's
again,
0 for
but
2, yeah, no stuns this time.
no such luck. And it feels really bad every time that maid goes for you because if you get stunned, it could cost a lot.
I'll take your life.
And back onto Lilius.
The time has passed.
Winter Wish.
Elvis
Elvis
coming
counter.
out.
Some counters procking. A little bit of a slap fest so far, but watch the animation here pretty soon.
I think that Winter Wish really wanted maybe a salvo to come out, just possibly so this Lone Crescent Bologna got another counter there, but I feel as though they kind of have to go for the skill 3 burn here. But it's so risky.
I think he is. Okay, he's actually playing
He's
super
going
patient
full
here.
patience.
I'm well aware of what
Another
you
counter
are
What's
attack.
unfortunate is Bologna's just barely not low enough to heal off of Siggers, which puts them in a really awkward situation.
Yeah, because at that HP threshold, he's in danger of potentially just dying.
I'll do anything for her.
Just one counterattack could end it is the thing. That's what's so terrifying about this Emma Landy. A single Elbrus proc. You never know what's gonna happen. This Airwell.
She's
Arwell's
like
counter.
crazy.
I
Yeah,
know.
she's going crazy.
Which, not too impactful when there's no bust, but it is cycling the, or giving Bologna some stacks here.
So that's actually really huge. The Winter Wish weathered the storm. He did not get countered there, but does Navy Captain Landy just take it out with the salvo?
This is a lot of damage!
Not quite
quite.
enough into the
Counter's gonna
Sigurd
be a
heal.
big heal.
Just the backpack. Backpack.
Oh
And,
my god,
jeez.
look at her health right now.
She's
The
got like
revive is still
10k.
on Landy, but
Does he want to just soul burn, maybe land a kill on the Arwell, get the bigger buff for the team?
Onto
I think that is
RL.
our play here.
No more escort.
Yeah, let's get the bigger up for the squad. The soul burn is nice. We're gonna have a really low cooldown on it.
well, what are you gonna do against this Landy? You have to start controlling it or something.
Yeah, the skill 3
He's
she's
hoping his
coming
skill
up.
2 is gonna work here. Now we have had some frenzy pass, so more effective.
Double resist.
It doesn't land.
Oh
Okay,
man.
the resist is legit. With the maid, this thing has some resist on it, or
Unless they
Which has zero effect on
15%ed
it.
3 times in a row.
Holy.
No way. It's the maid plus.
Some people have low effectiveness on Lilius
Shall
to
we
try
bring
and
this
get
to
as
a
much
close?
tank stats, as much of that
We're
speed
showing
as
that it's
possible,
so
but
pure right here. Last Rider Crow, another skill 3 coming out.
Yeah, this bike does a lot more this time.
oh, it just does so much damage.
Yeah, deleted the Taiwan right off the bat.
Oh, and that did so much damage on the backpack, immediately taking out the tank as well. Both tanks getting immediately killed. Still no stun coming out.
Now, Quirk did have the skill 3, so didn't matter too much here, but they would have got a little CR push, combat readiness.
Obey if you wish.
So this
to
is
live.
pretty scary. Conquer Lilius is obviously going to be skill 3 in here.
Seizing victory is
Really helpful. Maybe they don't even land any debuffs though.
We haven't seen it landing at all. Wait,
It
No
does
attack
actually
down.
get the strip.
Uh-huh.
It got the minus duration, but it obviously can't get rid of a 2-turn immunity buff there.
yeah, and Landy will also give herself attack up when she does rip the skill 3.
So he would love to
Now-
use skill 2 on Landy, but you can't afford to go for it because it's a high chance of countering, and you know you don't have enough effectiveness.
Oh, he goes
Well, he's
for it.
ripping it
But
anyway.
they do it anyway. Ooh, no
Maybe
counterattack. Breathe
does
the
have
breathe the
the
sigh
skill
of relief.
Oh, that hit!
Wait, the damage
That's out of the roof.
We're
She's gone!
We're so far into
What's your stat
And
for
there you
14K?
How to design a draft all based on a single unit. I mean, here, let's be honest, Winter Witch is naturally predisposed to having a bit more success since his main unit is a hard counter to the most OP unit in the game at the moment. But if you follow the rules, this success can easily be ported over to RTA ladder if you want to hit champion or even emperor rank, maybe even legend rank, featuring your favorite unit. You just have to apply them correctly, right? And once again, that's figuring out the unit's playstyle. And another example I can give you is on the RTA ladder when I wanted to play with Crescent Moon Rin after the buff, where she was an activator for Commander Pavel and Jacko Cleave compositions. So her pick position would be around 2 to 3 as a mainly speed initiator when you have your anchor. So giving them a clear place to be picked. Knowing when to, but also when not to pick a character. And with this one, sometimes you just need to experiment a little bit and find out. But RTA is a game mode that's all about punishing weaknesses, and the more clear weaknesses a unit have, the more they have to be picked later. Which is why now, if you watch a lot of drafts, the early picks are just really OP units that either don't have a lot of weaknesses, or the units that punish them have punishes in return. That said, this applies to every unit across every playstyle. If you want to main Operator Sigrid or a Runka, for example, you definitely don't want to pick them when your opponent has 0 barriers, but more likely, you're going to be able to pick a Conqueror Lilius, maybe fish out an Airwell or a Bunny Dominial, and then dropping these units on 4-5 as they barrier up. And lastly, knowing your matchups and design your tech picks. This last point is absolutely pure experience. As you play more RTA and see these specific counters like the blue Tywin that Winter Witch pulled out in action, you should be keeping an eye out for those opportunities to run creative builds and combos for your units as well, especially if you find great synergy. Like for example, Crescent Moon Rin now drops crit damage buff for units like Jacko as well as Commander Pavel, and you should be springing it on your opponent whenever they're not prepared in the later rotations. And with that, that should be it for this video. I hope you guys learned something. I know I upped the content difficulty by quite a bit. Each one of these I do. So if there are anything you're confused by or you want to just talk about, vent about, feel free to drop it in the comments. If you like to have in-depth discussions, you can always catch the community in the Discord server, link in the description. And all right, like and subscribe, I guess. Stay safe out there, guys. Have a great one. Bye.